Alrighty, well, hello sinners. How are ya? On today's installment of the Letterboard of Truth, our quote of the day is M&Ms. I want you, sinners. Buckle your boots and strap your guns. We're fighting another culture war today. The woke commie feminist pronouns canceled Dr. Seuss. They defamed Mr. Potato Head, and they even took away Christmas.
You are excluding me from one of my nation's national holidays.
I thought the left had blue hair. Turns out it's green too. But you know what? The lefties can keep their stupid potato. They can have their dead author. But don't you dare mess with my candy. Give me M&Ms or give me death. We're finally gonna address this stupid M&Ms controversy. And I'm hoping this is the one and only video I have to make on the topic because I am sick and tired of seeing this discourse on my timeline. There is no reason why bite-sized chocolates should cause this much fuss. I know this topic is old news by now, but there's been a recent update to the story, and I will take every opportunity to make fun of Tucker Carlson. So consider this video a timeline of the entire M&Ms fiasco as of late January 2023. So what the hell is going on? Well, this debacle started around this time last year when Mars Wrigley, the manufacturer of M&Ms, decided to rebrand the spokes candies. And we all know M&Ms, right? They've been around for close to a century at this point. They're a staple Halloween candy, and they come in just about any flavor you can think of. By the way, please comment which M&M flavor is your favorite, and if you say anything other than pretzel M&Ms, congrats, you're wrong. Anyway, Mars Wrigley revamped the famous candy mascots because, and I quote, to make them fit a more dynamic and progressive world. Mars also gave each candy a little backstory. Now, I couldn't find the specific backstories on the M&Ms website, but here's a screenshot of a graphic of the green M&Ms interview from a BuzzFeed article. According to her, she's too busy shining to grow shade, and when asked what her hidden talents are, she says, unfortunately, being inexplicably lifelike is all I have to work with. Riveting stuff. Some other personality changes made by Mars include making the red M&M nicer and allowing the orange M&M to embrace his true self, worries and all. However, what caused the most backlash against Mars were the physical changes made to some of the spokes candies. Most notably, they got rid of the green M&M's go-go boots and replaced them with a pair of white tennis shoes.
They are my Crocs.
The green M&M adorned her signature boots from 1997 until last year, so you can only imagine how the world reacted to this drastic change. The reasoning behind the green M&M's polarizing shoe change is to reflect confidence and empowerment as a strong female and known for much more than her boots. As if this couldn't get any worse, Mars also decided to shorten the brown M&M's heel height to look more professional. Wokeness has gone too far, my friends. On a lighter note, I'm happy to report that the orange M&M now ties his shoes. What a time to be alive. In addition, according to CBS, the green M&M and the brown M&M will have a more friendly relationship, showcasing a force supporting women. The two characters' dynamic will have them together throwing shine and not shade, the company said. The two characters have sometimes been at odds in advertisements, but they have also been seen as friends, or more than friends in others, like this viral tweet from 2015 showing the two holding hands on a beach. It's rare Miss Brown and I get to spend time together without some colorful characters barging in. To this day, Mars Wrigley still hasn't confirmed whether or not Miss Green and Miss Brown are romantically involved, but in my head, canonically speaking, they are happy and in love. This is the lesbian representation we deserve. Could this be considered queer baiting if they're not together? Actually, let's not open that can of worms. As we've seen over and over again, many people do not react well to change, and this situation is no different. A surprising amount of folks on Twitter were upset with Mars for making the green M&M less sexy. Maybe I just live under a rock, but until they rebranded last year, I didn't realize that Miss Green is such a cultural icon. Unfortunately for Mars, M&Ms also became the new target for a good old culture war. There were some feminists who criticized Mars just for implying that being hot is a problem, as in Miss Green and Miss Brown can still be physically appealing and also part of this new progressive world. On the contrary, numerous folks on the right denounced Mars for becoming too woke and essentially blamed feminism for the rebranding of M&Ms. I guess when in doubt, blame feminism, the left, woke people, whoever. This is such a non-issue. I can't take it. But we can't talk about M&Ms without addressing Carlson. The clip I'm about to show you has gone viral several times, so you've probably seen it by now. But after this redesign was released, Tucker went on an absolute unhinged rant in a segment of Tucker Carlson Tonight. And listen, I know it's been a year, I know it's been a while since this happened, but to this day, I'm still astounded by the lack of self-awareness Fucker Carlson has. So, let's watch.
M&Ms were pushing intolerance, but they've been changed. You're seeing the changes right now on your screen. The green M&M, you will notice, is no longer wearing sexy boots. Now she's wearing sensible sneakers.
Whenever I'm eating M&Ms, I'm not thinking about the sexual appeal of the packaging. I'm just focused on eating the chocolate. Isn't that what everybody does? The fact that he went out of his way to call the green M&M sexy is just unhinged, creepy, cringe. Several other insults I could call Tucker. I'm gonna restrain myself.
Why the change? Well, according to M&Ms, quote, we all win when we see more women in leading roles. Because leading women do not wear sexy boots. Leading women wear frumpy shoes. The frumpier, the better. That's the rule.
That's the rule.
The other big change is that the brown M&M has, quote, transitioned from high stilettos to lower block heels. Also less sexy. That's progress.
You know, the higher the heel, the higher amounts of time you can jack off to these M&Ms. Right, okay.
M&Ms will not be satisfied until every last cartoon character is deeply unappealing and totally androgynous. Until the moment you wouldn't want to have a drink with any one of them. That's the goal. When you're totally turned off, we've achieved equity. They've won.
Tucker, what the f*** is wrong with you? Like, you have a whole wife and kids at home, and you're worried about the fact that you can't nut to these f***ing pieces of anthropomorphic chocolate? Give it a rest. Like, imagine being on one of the most popular news networks and complaining that you can't fuck chocolate. Go kiss your wife, Tucker. Let my lesbian M&Ms live in peace.
Meanwhile, in a nod to the burgeoning wellness movement, the orange M&M will, quote, acknowledge and embrace his anxiety.
He's just like me, for real.
And actually, if you look at him, the orange M&M does appear very anxious.
Very good, Tucker. You can recognize facial expressions. Good for you. Round of applause for Tucker. Good job, Tucker. You get an extra cookie after dinner. Probably prefer an M&M.
Maybe he doesn't like all the ugly new shoes he sees around him. Maybe he liked the sexy boots.
Tucker, you are getting mad over some white Doc Martens. Orange just learned how to tie his shoes. Don't come for him like that. All right, you should be very proud of his accomplishment, okay? He learned how to tie his boots, and you learned how to recognize facial expressions. We're all making progress today. Unfortunately, that's not all. Why can't that be all? Tucker decided to reignite the M&Ms debate on Fox a couple weeks ago as he complained about Miss Green and Miss Brown's supposed lesbian relationship. He also managed to fat shame a cartoon piece of candy. And this allegedly obese piece of candy was the purple M&M, which Mars introduced back in September 2022, making her the third female mascot in the entire lineup. After Miss Purple was debuted, Mars ran a temporary campaign where they only included the green, purple, and brown M&Ms in their bags to raise money for women working in creative fields.
Well, for most of its history as a company, Mars Inc. was known for making candy, Milky Way, Skittles, Snickers, and most famously M&Ms, which they claim melted in your mouth but not in your hand.
Oh, Tucker, I'm sure you wish that the green M&M would melt in your mouth and your hand.
But over time, churning out delicious and highly lucrative calorie bombs was not enough for Mars. Its executives wanted to be Starbucks. Sure, our product is unhealthy, but we're woke, so please don't notice. So in its ad campaigns, Mars set about making its M&M characters as unattractive as possible, because when you're intentionally repulsive, it's clear you've got the right politics.
Even like a year later, he's still mad that the green M&M isn't as f***able anymore. Has he ever felt the loving touch of a woman? I'm being serious, because people who have healthy, romantic, and intimate lives don't rave about stupid shit like this on Fox News. I mean, you're not on Fox News to begin with, but that's besides the point.
So the green M&M lost her sexy boots, the brown M&M her stiletto heels. The orange M&M, meanwhile, became a poster boy for the mental health crisis.
Again, don't come for the orange M&M. He's trying his best, as we all are.
And would henceforth, quote, acknowledge and embrace his anxiety.
Bestie, maybe you should acknowledge and embrace your anxiety, because it seems you got a lot of it.
Then late last year, Mars went further. The company added obese and distinctly frumpy lesbian M&Ms.
Not obese, frumpy M&Ms. Those are my new pronouns. Obese, frumpy, lesbian. Tucker, maybe some of us like obese, frumpy lesbians. Have you considered that?
The company added obese and distinctly frumpy lesbian M&Ms to promote, quote, feminism and body positivity.
He's so mad. Tucker, maybe you should pull the stick out of your ass, the pixie stick out of your ass, all right? And smell the roses and realize that, maybe fantasizing about fake candy is not healthy for you.
In other words, explained the Mars Corporation, it's good to be fat. Have some more M&Ms. Well, we reported on this at the time and pledged a deeper investigation into it. But before we could complete our investigation, Mars announced that it's suspending its ad campaign.
You're such a weird guy, Tucker. Also, I'm pretty sure the purple M&M is supposed to be a peanut M&M, which explains why she's more of an oval as opposed to circular, like the other M&Ms. Like, it's her and the yellow M&M who are peanut M&Ms. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like, at the end of the day, this is advertising. These are fake candies. There is no reason why anyone should be passionate about fake candies one way or the other. I'm sorry. Like, get a hobby, all right? Get a hobby, pick up a book, go outside, drink some water, do something other than spending your life worrying about whether or not these M&Ms are obese lesbians.
A chocolate vendor promoting obesity was just too shameless even by modern standards. But at CNN, they were infuriated by the news. News anchors who have not had a carb since the Bush administration became hysterical as they defended Mars's pro-fatness campaign.
They're just promoting women in the workplace. The message is decent. Like, granted, it is like kind of vapid and, performative, but the message isn't bad. Like, how is like an alleged fat character existing promoting obesity? And also, she's literally a peanut M&M. Get a grip.
CNN political analyst and notably unhappy person Kirsten Powers attacked this show for our, quote, misogynist, anti-trans, fat-phobic garbage rhetoric.
If we're talking about notably unhappy people, maybe you should look in the mirror. Because you look like a notably unhappy person, Tucker.
Congressman Richie Torres of New York did the same. So did Bloomberg and Forbes and the New York Times. And it made you wonder if all these people are secretly being paid to flack for corporate America. Probably not. They just can't stand the idea that candy isn't political. But we're grateful it's not. We'll be right back.
What is wrong with you? Like, who shat in your coffee before you film this? Right-wingers are always complaining that the left is trying to censor them. Well, I wish it worked sometimes. I think I'm gonna go crazy. Other right-wing pundits also jumped on the opportunity to share their typical lukewarm misogynistic opinions on the matter. But in a world full of betas, a certain alpha male made his way to the front of the pack and somehow made the entire M&M's controversy about himself. That's right, folks. Nick Adams has made his return.
Being an alpha male means that you tend to prefer the company of other men.
In case you're unaware, Nick Adams is a dear friend of the channel. I made a video on him back in October, so if you'd like to check that out, make sure to click the card right here. Long story short, Nick Adams is a self-proclaimed alpha male / caricature of an obnoxious conservative man. He is either completely deluded or a satirical genius. No one can be sure either way. But of course, Nick had to give his 2 cents on the ultra-woke M&Ms campaign. I am done with M&Ms. Not one M&M will pass my lips until Mars issues a formal apology and releases an all-male package of M&Ms to demonstrate their commitment to gender equality. These female M&Ms are a slap in the face to men everywhere. We must band together and boycott. Here we fucking go again. My. How can I resist you?
G'day guys, Nick Adams here. I want to speak about M&Ms. I want to speak about Mars, the company behind M&Ms. M&Ms have just released feminist M&Ms. Yes, you heard me right. Feminist M&Ms. Egregious sexism of the worst and most conceivable kind.
Did you hear that? Egregious sexism. This is the most egregious sexism in the history of history because Mars included only their female mascots in a temporary campaign. How dare they? Why don't we think of men for once? I can't even pretend to be for this. Holy crap.
It is outrageous, it is disgusting, and it must not stand.
Imagine walking in Times Square and just seeing this doofus complain outside of the M&M store.
That is why I am calling for a complete and total boycott of all things Mars. And particularly M&Ms. It will not stand. Let me say this loudly, let me say this clearly, let me say this unambiguously. Any male that buys a packet of M&Ms from today forward must hand in their man card because they are a soft, woke, beta male feminist who has serious problems.
So where do you send in the man card? Like, say if a guy like pops, an M&M in his mouth, does he like send it in the mail? Does he have to deliver it to a government office? Like, how is this arrangement going to work? Maybe you should be more specific.
Until M&Ms rectify this grave wrong by giving us all male M&Ms, this boycott will remain.
There needs to be more male representation in the media, especially straight male representation, and even more so, straight white male representation. There aren't enough straight white people in Hollywood. Let's change that. Maybe this guy is right. Like, why let feminism take over the world when living in a patriarchal society is doing us so well?
We will not stand for this at all. M&Ms?
I like how the video perfectly ends right before we see like the M&M's bag explode. Nick, that's your money you're wasting. All right, you wasted the $1.75 on those M&M's. You gave them your money. Unless if you just like took it from some kid on the street. Mars has got their money. They're not worried about some Australian dude cosplaying an alpha male that's not going to buy their M&M's anymore. What a guy. What a guy. In the weeks following, Nick has campaigned for an M&M's boycott in the name of egregious sexism or whatever. He also kept posting photos of the candy aisles in different grocery stores, and it just so happened at the times he went, the M&M sections were full, so he claimed that his boycott was working. My guess is that the M&M shelves just happened to be filled by the time he got to each grocery store, or he camped out in the next aisle while the Walmart employee was stocking the shelves and then zoomed on over to take a picture of the filled M&M shelves. What I'm saying is, Nick, I see right through you. He also demanded that Mars needs to send a formal apology to men and reparations for their alleged sexist campaign. They literally just included 3 out of the 7 M&Ms in a bag, and this is how he reacted. M&Ms can't just brush their sexism under the rug and think we'll let them off the hook. Mars must issue a formal apology to men, and only men. Fair reparations must be paid. Until these demands are met, we will continue our full boycott of M&Ms. This brings us to the present day. On January 23rd, 2023, the M&M's Twitter account released a formal statement regarding the year-long controversy. America, let's talk. In the last year, we've made some changes to our beloved spokes candies. We weren't sure if anyone would even notice, and we definitely didn't think it would break the internet. But now we get it. Even a candy's shoes can be polarizing, which was the last thing M&M's wanted since we're all about bringing people together. Therefore, we have decided to take an indefinite pause from the spokes candies. In their place, we are proud to introduce a spokesperson America can agree on, the beloved Maya Rudolph. We are confident Miss Rudolph will champion the power of fun to create a world where everyone feels they belong. This statement sparked the debate yet again, and people like Nick and Tucker credited themselves for this passing of the torch between Maya and the spokes candies. However, Mars confirmed that the candy mascots will make their return for Super Bowl advertisements, so that's good. I would hate to see them out of a job.
Plus, the M&M's pro-fat M&M ad campaign seems to have ended. We're being blamed for it. We say that with some pride. An update on that coming up.
Ladies and gentlemen, Nick Adams here, your favorite Twitter account on the planet. Well, by now I'm sure that you've heard the fantastic news, which is that M&Ms and Mars are taking an indefinite pause on their spokes candies. And that, ladies and gentlemen, you can attribute directly to me. You are welcome.
Firstly, I want to give my regards to all 7 of the spokes candies. I'm sure this past year has put an infinite amount of stress on them, so I hope they take all the time they need to heal and recover. Especially you, Orange. Go lay down. You deserve it. Secondly, I don't know why Maya in particular was chosen as the new spokeswoman. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have nothing against her. I think she's a fantastic actress. It just seems like a very random choice. Is it because her first name also starts with M? I don't know, but I am certain that the check coming in the mail for her has plenty of zeros at the end. Shit, name your price, Mars. I'd do it. Finally, how do I feel about this whole controversy? Well, in general, I think that most progressive campaigns by companies are performative. Take Pride Month, for example. Many brands participate in what is known as rainbow capitalism, which is when a company claims that they support LGBTQ+ rights, but really they're just seeking to capitalize off our community. And I think that happens a lot with any marginalized community companies try to appeal to. And I think the same could be said for M&Ms. Now, don't get me wrong, I think the message is great. I'm all for moving towards a progressive society. I'm all for body diversity and seeing women in the workplace. But I don't think anyone on the left was seriously asking for representation with M&Ms. And the fact that this whole thing turned into a culture war and an anti-woke / anti-feminism campaign is really disappointing. Because instead of actually listening to marginalized communities, the other side will look at this superficial campaign and just consider the entire movement bogus and not take us seriously. Like I said, I agree with the message wholeheartedly. I don't think companies should necessarily stop progressive advertising like this. Maybe they can go about it in a way that actually reflects the problems in certain communities. But campaigns like the M&Ms rebranding just feel like a band-aid for systemic issues. I'm really curious to hear what you guys think though, so please feel free to comment any and all your thoughts and opinions in the comments. If there are any other culture wars you'd like me to cover in the future, please also let me know. And in general, if there are any particular video ideas you'd like to see from me, I have a Google form linked in the description where you could submit those. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a tiny thumbs up, or maybe a frumpy, obese lesbian thumbs up, and subscribe down below. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye!